There are moments in life when the days melt into each other. When the morning light feels no different from the night before, you wake up, you go through the motions, but somewhere inside, a quiet voice keeps asking, "Why am I even here?" You breathe, but it doesn't feel like living. You smile, but it never reaches your eyes. And maybe you've done everything you were supposed to do. You've chased dreams, you've worked hard, you've loved and lost. You've filled your life with noise, people, projects, screens, plans, trying to drown out that hollow ache in your chest. But when the noise fades, the emptiness is still there, staring back at you in the silence. Viktor Frankl knew that silence. He faced it in a place so dark, so cruel, that hope seemed impossible. And yet, in the middle of that hell, he discovered a truth so profound, it not only kept him alive, it gave him a reason to keep going. A truth that could change the way you see your life. Today, over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to take you on a journey, not just into Frankl's story, but into your own. Because if you stay with me until the end, you may see your pain, your past, and your future through an entirely new lens, and you'll feel alive again. Let's begin. We live in an age of abundance, and yet millions feel empty. It's strange, isn't it? We have more comfort, more technology, more opportunities than any generation before us, and still something feels missing. Maybe you've just ended a relationship and the silence feels like it's swallowing you whole. Maybe you've been chasing a career for years, only to reach the top and realize the view isn't what you imagined. Or maybe you've achieved everything you thought you wanted, and yet you lie awake at night wondering, why don't I feel happy? Viktor Frankl had a name for this, the existential vacuum, a life stripped of meaning. It doesn't just happen in moments of tragedy. It can creep in slowly, quietly. You start distracting yourself, endless scrolling, comparing your life to strangers online, numbing the boredom with quick pleasures. Food, entertainment, shopping, and for a moment, it works, until the emptiness returns deeper than before. The truth is, pain is easier to face than meaninglessness, because pain at least tells you something is wrong. But when you can't even name the ache you feel, that's when hopelessness sets in. This was the world Frankl saw, not just outside the camps, but in the souls of people everywhere. And the question that haunted him was the same one that haunts so many today. What makes life worth living when suffering is inevitable? In 1942, Viktor Frankl was deported to a Nazi concentration camp. Everything was taken from him. His home, his work, his freedom. His wife and parents were killed. His dignity was stripped away. In that place, there was no guarantee of surviving the day. Sometimes, not even the next hour. And yet, in that hell, he discovered something extraordinary. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That's not just philosophy, that's survival. Frankl saw two types of prisoners, those who gave up, and those who, even in that darkness, held on to something greater than themselves, a reason to keep living. For some, it was the dream of seeing a loved one again. For others, it was a piece of work they still felt called to complete. For Frankl himself, it was the image of his wife, her face in his mind, her voice in his memory, that kept him alive. He realized something life-changing. We cannot always control our suffering, but we can always choose what it means to us. This became his life's work, the foundation of logotherapy, the belief that our primary drive as human beings is not pleasure, not power, but meaning. And meaning is something we can find in three ways. The first way is by means of work or creation. Think about this deeply. It's not about fame, money, or recognition. It's about doing something that matters, something that gives you a sense of purpose, even in the smallest way. Picture J.K. Rowling, long before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, a struggling single mother, living on welfare, facing rejection after rejection from publishers. The world gave her no guarantees, yet she kept writing. Night after night she sat in cold cafes with her baby asleep beside her, pouring her heart and soul into a story that mattered to her. She didn't know if anyone would ever read it. She didn't know if it would change her life, but she knew one thing. It gave her a reason to keep going. Or think of the single parent raising a child with patience and love, not perfectly, but fully present. The neighbor who fixes a broken bike for a kid down the street. The gardener planting seeds in the quiet of the morning, trusting that something will grow. The musician learning one new chord at a time, not for applause, but for the joy of the sound. What do all these have in common? When you create, you leave a piece of yourself in the world. You are saying, I am here. I have value. I contribute. And in that simple act, life whispers back, you matter. You see, creation is not reserved for artists, inventors, or great thinkers. Creation is for all of us. It's the handwritten letter you send to an old friend. It's the meal you cook from scratch, adding your own twist to the recipe. It's the plan you draw on paper, even if it never becomes a building. When you create, you step into a dialogue with life itself. You say, here is what I can give. And life answers, here is why you exist. Here's the truth Frankl understood. When you start creating, no matter how small, you begin to feel alive again. You rediscover your purpose. Your mind stops spiraling into fear and doubt, and instead finds focus, hope, and momentum. Think of the times you felt stuck, empty, or unseen. Now imagine picking up a brush, a pen, a hammer, or a seed, and beginning. With every small step, you feel something shift inside you. The air feels lighter. Time moves differently. You start to anticipate the next moment because you have something to look forward to. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a project that excites you, not because you have to, but because it fills you up inside. That feeling, that spark, is the light, Frankl says. You need to move forward. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it shouldn't be perfect. Perfection is a trap that stops most people before they've even begun. Instead, let it be messy. Let it be yours. Ask yourself, what's one thing, no matter how small, you could begin today? A project, a habit, a goal that makes you proud to say, this is mine. This is my gift. Because creating is more than just productivity. It's a lifeline. It connects you to your power, your purpose, and your potential. When you focus your energy on something meaningful, your mind starts to heal. Your worries fade, replaced by motivation and hope. You stop asking, what's the point? And start thinking, what's next? And here's the most beautiful part. When you create, you don't just change yourself. You change the people around you. Your work becomes a seed in someone else's life. A stranger might read your words, hear your song, or taste your cooking, and feel something awaken in them too. Purpose is contagious. Frankl would tell you this. Even in the darkest moments, you still have the freedom to choose how you respond. And one of the most powerful ways to respond is to create, because creation is the opposite of despair. It is proof that you believe the future is worth showing up for. So start small. Write one paragraph, plant one seed, play one note. Draw one line. Do it again tomorrow. And the day after that, before you know it, you'll look back and realize that your life has been quietly transforming. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you became stronger, more focused, more alive. This is the beginning of life finding you again. And it all starts with one small act of creation. How would they respond? How would you feel after saying it? If you've been holding those words back, maybe waiting for the right time, let me tell you something. The right time is now. Love as the bridge to meaning. Frankl saw this clearly. Love connects us to the deepest meaning in life. It doesn't erase our problems, but it gives them less power over us. It doesn't guarantee safety, but it gives us strength to keep going. Love says, I see you, I'm with you, we're in this together. And when you understand that, when you live it, you realize that even in the darkest times, life still has something to offer you. Because love, pure, unselfish love, is the bridge between you and meaning. And once you cross it, life will never look the same again. The second way is through suffering. This is the hardest path, the path most people try to avoid. But sometimes it's the only one left. I think of Oprah Winfrey, a young girl facing poverty, abuse, and rejection. She could have allowed those wounds to define her life. She could have let her story end there, broken, silent, forgotten. But she didn't. Instead, she chose to take that pain and shape it into something extraordinary. She became one of the most compassionate and influential voices of our time, not because she never suffered, but because she did, and still chose to love, to give, to rise. Viktor Frankl, who endured the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, never said suffering is good. He never romanticized it. He called it what it is: brutal, unfair, sometimes senseless. But he also taught this truth: suffering can have meaning if we find the courage to face it. When tragedy hits, the question isn't, why me? The question becomes, what can I do with this pain? Because you have a choice. You can choose bitterness, or you can choose growth. Imagine this: your suffering becomes a bridge to reach others who are hurting, a bridge to a deeper version of yourself, stronger, wiser, kinder. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, the phenomenon where people who endure deep pain sometimes emerge with a renewed purpose, a sharper appreciation for life, and a capacity to love they never had before. It's as if the cracks in their hearts let more light in. Think about the people you admire most. Heroes, leaders, even loved ones in your life. Somewhere in their story, they faced storms that could have destroyed them. And yet, those storms became the very forge that shaped their greatness. Maybe your darkest moment, the one you'd give anything to erase, is actually your greatest teacher. Maybe your pain is preparing you for something you can't yet see. What if your pain right now is not the end, but the beginning of a chapter that will define you? What if, by facing it with courage, you not only heal yourself, but you become the lifeline someone else is desperately waiting for? So what does life expect from you? Frankl challenges us to flip the question, not, what do I want from life? Because that keeps you waiting, wishing, and wanting. But instead, what does life want from me, right now? Maybe life is calling you to create something new. Maybe it's calling you to love more deeply than you ever have before. Or maybe, just maybe, it's asking you to endure. To walk through this darkness with courage, patience, and grace, until the day the light finally returns. Because it will. And when it does, you will never be the same. And here's the most powerful truth. You get to choose how you respond. You can drift through life as a silent bystander, or you can step into the arena and become the author of your own story. Because when you answer life's call, you don't just survive. You rise, you find meaning, you discover hope, and you finally meet the strongest version of yourself. So today, stop and ask yourself, what is the smallest step I can take right now toward the life I was meant to live? Could I start that project that's been burning in the back of my mind? Could I call that person I've been meaning to forgive and finally set us both free? Could I sit with my pain not as an enemy, but as a teacher, and allow it to shape me into someone unshakable? Because the path to meaning is also the path back to life. And here's the secret. You don't have to walk it alone. Every soul you admire, every hero, every survivor, every voice that inspires you, they've all walked this very road. They faced nights so dark they forgot the sun existed. And still, they kept moving forward. Now it's your turn, your chapter, your chance to transform the pain you've been given into the strength the world needs. And when you do, someone, somewhere, will look at you and whisper, because they made it, I can too. Frankl's life teaches us this. You may not be able to control your circumstances. You may not be able to avoid pain. But you can always choose your response, and in that choice lies your freedom and your meaning. If you're in a dark chapter right now, remember, it's not the end of your story. The page will turn. The light will return, and you will see that even this, especially this, had a purpose. Until then, keep going. Your meaning is out there, and maybe it's closer than you think. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one moment when you chose your response and found strength? Drop your story in the comments below. Your experience could inspire someone today. If this message resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful insights that help you find meaning in every moment. Let's grow this community of warriors together. Your journey matters, and your voice can light the way.